Hello, hello, hello. Hello, welcome back to a reading vlog. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but there's a public holiday going on. We have 4 days off, so me and my family, we went out of town to hang in the woods for a few days. I thought I would bring you along and film a reading vlog. I'm in the middle of several books. I don't know if I will have like a lot of time to read out here because we'll be going on walks and stuff, but hopefully I will read. It's very cold right now. We're staying at a hotel that looks like this. It's kind of like an old Russian style house. We have like the tiles and everything. It's very pretty. And on the drive here I was listening to They Never Learn on audio. This is a thriller set in a university. We're following a professor at the university who is a serial killer who's been targeting rapists and men who have abused women or harassed women. It's all about like crimes against women. I'm almost done with that audiobook. I think I only have 2 hours left, so we'll definitely get to that one on this trip. I also brought Slade House by David Mitchell. It has a big font and is relatively short, so I think I could get to this one. And I'm also making slow progress in Widen Your Window, a nonfiction about trauma and stress and how we can help our bodies heal from trauma. And I'm this far into it and I am enjoying it. It's just definitely a slower read, so maybe I'll try to finish the first part during this trip. Oh yeah, we just arrived and before lunch I'm gonna try and nap a little. So I'll see you later.
Photograph of us without cares and worn out clothes. Doesn't seem so long ago. Now I'm just sitting here bored at home, and it really got me thinking of the times we took off on the road. I can't remember where we headed that night. We were cruising around town in Memphis, running the lights. I just know how it felt. I won't forget that. Windows down and open top, but we were clever not to take it too far, though it's hard not getting tempted.
Hello, it's day 2 of our trip and it's not going to plan. Some of us are not feeling too hot this morning and last night, so we're taking turns on our walks. So I'm alone in the woods right now. Just a little terrifying. But while I've been in my room, I've been reading. So the Slade House is this tiny book. I wish I had it with me to show you. Basically, there is the Slade Alley where a door to Slade House appears every 9 years, and all the parts in the book are following people who end up going into that door. They end up going in and maybe not going out. So I've read the first 2 stories. So each part is following a different character, so it's like a separate story. In the first one, we follow a 13-year-old boy who's going with his mom to Slade House for like a musical soiree. At least that's what they think. The way it's written is so fun because I loved the way the first part was written in this, this boy's narrative, references and what he thinks, what a 13-year-old boy sees around him. Like, that's very fun. And when you get to the second chapter where we follow a police officer, he's like, I think it's like 30 or something. Like, that's a very different tone. The descriptions, the thoughts, like everything, it's written differently because you're following a different person, if that makes sense. So I'm very excited to see what happens next. I'm enjoying this. It does have this like creepy tone to it. The way things are described, like you're reading like a horror or a book that's meant to be creepy when the things that the author decides to like highlight in descriptions. Like they pass a dead cat and there's like an unnecessary description of flies going into its eyes. Like it's nothing major, it's a small line in the chapter, but it already gives you like an idea of, you know, what you're reading, what kind of book you're reading. And there's like no one around. I think I should go back now. Also, while I'm on this walk, I've been listening to some more of They Never Learn. I only have like an hour left and there are people coming. Oh god. Okay, they're gone. It's a fun book. I like it. It's not a mystery because you know who the serial killer is. You're following her. Like, there are no plot twists. That's not a twisty book. That's not a book that's gonna surprise you. There are no like cliffhangers and stuff, but it's very fun. There's also like a second storyline following a freshman at the university. The two are obviously connected, but throughout most of the book they're pretty separate. Like it's a separate storyline. Everywhere here there are so many traces of or like footprints of rabbits. I'm looking, but I don't see any. I really want to see a rabbit, but it's just not happening for me. If I find one, I will try to film it for you.
Calling you up to see how you've been, 'cause don't I miss you and all those things we did back then.
Day 3 and it's the morning. No, this is not a good look. We haven't had breakfast yet. I think everyone's feeling better today, but we'll see. There's so many kids and they're all screaming. Anyway, I made more progress in Slate House. I finished the 3rd story and I just started the 4th one, which is called You, Dark Horse You, and this is 2006. There's one story left. I should not be calling them stories because they're definitely not like separate entities. They're all connected and they all go one after the other in a very particular order. They're not chapters, so I'm gonna call them stories. I really enjoyed the last one. I think the last one was my favorite, and in this one we're getting way more answers, it seems, and the mystery is unraveling a little more. I'm getting very excited about where the story is going.
Way back then. It's funny how times roll by. Is it 12 years since last time? Where'd you go? What's the score? Did you find?
We had breakfast, we took a walk, we found a rabbit. So exciting. We found a rabbit. It was so cute, it was so small. Then we made a snow head that I carried all the way back to the hotel. Didn't know what to do with it, but then found that someone made a snow body with arms but with no head, so I just put my head on top of that body, and now there's a snowman guarding the hotel, which is super cute. I'm gonna read a little and maybe nap before lunch. I am really enjoying this book.
I can't remember what we did that day. We were blowing off steam in Paris, but I wanted to stay 'cause I know how it felt when we raised hell. I won't forget that. But we were clever not to take it too far, though it's hard not getting tempted. Calling you up to see how you've been, 'cause don't I miss you and all those things we did back then.
Hello, I'm home. Here's a little story. So yesterday evening I did finish Slate House and I thought I would tell you about that in the morning, and then this morning we had to leave and everything was fine, and then my sister woke up and said I'm not feeling well. So we did end up going home all right, but you know, now she's sick and I feel tired and like a weird headache. It was a great vacation. But let me tell you about the books. I did finish Slade House, and I had so many emotions by the end. There are some twists, okay, by the end, kind of. I can't tell you much because it's such a short book. The very last moment of the book is it's a trope that I never know how to feel about it, because sometimes it traumatizes me and sometimes I find it interesting. I think here I'm cool with it, I'm fine with it. Did I love the ending? It was very satisfying. No, you know what? I loved it. This is such a mess of a review. Oh my god, I really love this book. I did pitch this as like different stories that are connected, but they are so perfectly set one after the other, and it feels like the very first one didn't really have an impact, but it did, because it started something that will later, like, it's so well done. I think I was expecting something more ghostly, more, I don't know, Victorian vibes, which I don't know why I was expecting that, because it didn't say anything about it being like Victorian or something. I really did like the atmosphere, and as I mentioned, every part is written differently because it's from a different person, different perspective, a different life, and that was very fun. I would not call this horror. There is no gore. It's not scary, like you're not reading it and being like, oh no, what's gonna happen next. That's not really, like, the whole atmosphere is kind of sinister. It is a sense of like an impending something, like something bad is about to happen, which makes it like creepy and spooky, but it's not a horror. Also, something that I was worried about, since this the door to Slade House opens every like end of October every 9 years, I thought this would have more of a like Halloween vibe, or like a tie to Halloween, but it doesn't, which worked so well for me because I'm reading this in February, obviously. Also because I think I was picturing more of an American setting. What I found, American stories, when it comes to holidays, it's much more like, not atmospheric necessarily, but if it's Halloween, like it's going to be Halloween. And this is set in England, somewhere around London, I think. And I think Halloween has been mentioned like once, and it was perfect. It was just enough times for me. I really didn't know how to rate this book. I think I'm going to go with 4.5 stars. It's not quite a 5-star. It's so close to it, but not quite. I do really recommend this book. It's so fun. It's very British in writing, the language used, the references, the tone of it. And yeah, I had so much fun with this book, and I can't believe I actually, like, for a vlog picked up a book and I read it from beginning to end. It's quite an accomplishment for me. I don't think I ever talked to you about They Never Learn, how it ended. I did finish that book. It was great. That was a 4-star. I really enjoyed it too. It was a great thriller. There are some like minor reveals, and there are plot twists by the very end. It didn't hit that like extra emotional note, but it was such a great book. I understand why everyone's obsessed with that. There are obviously so many themes of feminism and violence against women, and it does highlight how in many cases for many women who get mistreated, even if they do everything right and they go to the right authorities and the report and everything, like, it doesn't go anywhere because they're not believed, or again, they're mistreated by the system. And like, there are parts of it that are very infuriating to read, obviously. And within the 2 lines, I found that I loved the timeline of our main character, who is the serial killer, who's the professor. Really loved that. And every time we would go to the chapters with the freshman college student, I would just deflate a little. I think also that's why it's a 4-star, not a 5-star, because I dreaded those chapters. There's like an interesting story as well, but I just did not care about it as much as I did about Professor. I always wanted to go back to her and see what's happening next in that storyline. Also, yesterday, after finishing Slate House, I did get to Widen Your Window a bit more, and it's a kind of these types of nonfiction books, it's so hard for me to pick them up, but when I do make myself open it up and start reading, like, I love it. I annoyed my family at dinner last night because I was telling them about the polyvagal theory, you know, how our nervous system responds to stress. It's a theory that I've encountered many times before, and I really like it, and it was discussed in the chapter that I just read, and I really love talking about it. I feel like more people should know about it. Yeah, I've taken my highlighter, I've been like going at it. So the way that this book and books similar to this are usually structured, the first part is usually them telling you why you need to read this book, like why is the subject at hand important. This obviously is talking about, you know, stress and trauma, and so the first half was like, we all have trauma, we all have stress, here are some examples. Like, it's trying to sell you on the subject of the book, which is very common, but I find that those chapters are so tedious and like they take me so long to read because I already picked up this book, like I'm already interested. Like, you don't have to sell me on this, you know? And the part that I'm reading right now is more like I would call it like a theoretical part. It's looking at exactly what happens in our bodies and in our brains during stress responses and traumatic situations, which I love reading. This is probably so weird. There's also a chapter coming up about going through childhood traumas and how they're created, stuff like that. Like, it's more, again, what I would call theory, and then the third part, a more practical one about like what you can do about it. That part I'm very interested in. Obviously I need to read all of this beforehand. Definitely not finishing this before March, but I'm hoping to get to that third part, the practical part, before March, so I have to still read this much. I think I'm going to end the vlog here. Nothing went according to plan. Everyone got sick. I don't feel good. It's great. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you watched this far, leave me a little rabbit emoji in the comments so I know that you're here. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video.